Today, I'm gonna be responding to a LinkedIn post that I found, and most importantly, I'm gonna be giving you, from my lens, the honest and transparent truth. Again, I've been saying this for a very long time. And what I'm saying is, it is my responsibility as someone who is a mentor to hundreds of people learning how to make career transitions, to give them the honest truth of what the real world is like. Right? And what I have found more than anything else is that LinkedIn and Instagram have become some of the most disingenuous areas for giving advice on how to make career transitions or even finding the next job of their careers. And the reason why is because more and more people are filling into this bubble of just giving each other advice to make each other feel good versus giving each other the advice that's going to advance them and helping them get further in their career and actually get a job. So I'm going to move over to this post in just a moment. Now, before I do this, I want to give a little bit of context. I'm just not here to be anybody's friend. And I know that I get a lot of negative comments and really nasty things said about me. This guy's the disconnected CEO. He doesn't care. I get everything from above. Today, I sat down with two of my employees, just specifically in sales, and had really good heart-to-hearts with them. And what I'm going to be giving you is the advice that I've learned over the past 3 years as a CEO, both from the perspective of this post and from the stuff that I'm actively using to run a profitable company that has gone through really high highs and really low lows. For example, 2023 was an incredibly hard year for my company. And what I want to do is to give you guys the perspective from somebody like myself who's hiring, firing, doing everything strategically across the board so you can have a real lens of who you're going to be working for in the future. I'm going to be the guy that the vast majority of you might be interviewing with, especially if you were coming and going to work at a small to medium-sized business. So let's transition over to LinkedIn. I'm going to briefly cover this, then we'll come back to right here. So now, looking at this post, I'm not going to say who this gentleman is, but I want to talk about, we went from the Great Resignation to the I can't work in less than 3 years. Our world makes no sense. What he's referring to is about 2 to 3 years ago, right when COVID was first happening, there became this period of the Great Resignation. People were like, I don't like the culture of my company. Everybody was quitting. And now everybody is struggling to find jobs. And I want to give you the perspective of somebody that, again, I'm a young CEO. I've been doing it for about 2 to 3 years now. And I'm going to give you the 10 cents of what both I found and all of my mentors and peer groups have found as well as other CEOs. About 2 to 3 years ago, the Great Resignation happened. And the way that this was being perceived across the board is lots of new employees were job hopping nonstop. They were getting a job offer over here, and they were just leveraging that to jump to another company. A lot of you watching this have the mentality, I can work wherever I want. This company just wants to bleed me. They don't care about me. They don't do yada, 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 yada. And if that's your view and that's your theme on life, the future does not look bright for you. For me, I view the company that I run as a sports team. We're not a family. We're a sports team. Now, what that does mean, I want the best for you, because if you're performing well on my team, we're gonna win. I don't want team members who aren't taken care of well and are upset. But what I do know for a fact is, if you're that person who's going out and looking for jobs right now, and you're approaching it from the standpoint of everybody that's in these comment sections, it's not gonna look good for you because it looks weak. And this sounds really bad, but here's the way that I take this, right? I take it from this perspective of, yeah, everything sucks, but what now, right? A lot of these people went from being the individuals holding companies essentially hostage, saying, you're either gonna pay me this or I'm gonna leave, right? I know that I just joined a year ago, but I just got a $15,000 job increase offer over here, and some of these employees had no intentions of leaving. And if you don't match it, I'm gonna leave. You don't know the situations of a lot of companies, right? And what I think is really funny is that there are a lot of layoffs happening right now in 2024 at the end of 2023, but when you look at job reports, companies held on to employees substantially longer than they needed to. We've never been at a more graceful time period in human history for the way that employees are treated versus in the past. And the reason why I bring that up is because we have no context. And we're really entering an employment period where people have never had jobs the way they are, right? When you look at historically, we came from the industrialization phase to now we're working really heavy in tech. People are working remote jobs. Employers don't trust a lot of their employees because most employees are not used to working remote jobs. We're in a really strange phase of trust not being there on both sides. And I get it. And this leads to a lot of micromanagement on the employer side. But I want to make sure that everybody understands the context of what environment we're moving into now. So we're moving away from the environment. of the Great Resignation, where everybody's quitting their job and they're demanding things, to now, unfortunately, the employers have all of the cards in their hand. And what that means, there's a lot of past employees that absolutely burnt those employers. And now, because of the way that some of you acted during the Great Resignation, they're taking a completely different approach in 2024 and onwards. Let me give you some examples from my standpoint. In 2022, Devslopes was growing incredibly fast. We nearly 6x'd our revenue from the previous year. We had no backers, right? We still have raised no money to date. And so what our goal was, we're just gonna hire anybody who has experience, and we're gonna just suspect that people are gonna act with good intentions. We hired a lot of sales reps that did decent, for example, who ended up only working a quarter of the day. And yes, their performance was decent at times, but they were being hired and had a salary for a full 40 hours a week at a bare minimum. And a lot of them were maybe working 20 hours a week. I didn't know that. I just trusted them. And a lot of the way that people are looking at this is, well, they were profitable and they were good. Why does it matter to you? Well, it matters to me because I expect a full return on investment on the resources I'm giving. We have great benefits, we have all these amazing things, but people were taking advantage of it. So what that led to was, okay, I let go of a large portion of those people. We went through upwards of 20 to 30 sales reps. Part of that was because I'm a new CEO, I wasn't used to running a sales team, and I really wasn't a great manager. That's just a fact. I'm aware of it. I'm gonna own that 1,000%. Now, in 2024 and onwards, as I'm hiring people, I'm looking for one thing in particular. Do they meet our, first and foremost, do they meet our 6 expectations and values for our sales reps? Essentially, are they gonna be part of my team? My team has specific values that they actually have to hit. And if you don't follow those, if you slip up once in the first 2 to 6 weeks of being on the company, we're gonna let you go. Right? There's somebody that we let go who joined to help us out not too long ago, who was here for 2 days, and we let him go immediately. Not because we didn't like him, we just had differences in terms of expectations. I needed this, but he needed that. Okay, cool. It's just not gonna work, that's fine, we can part ways. It's not about who's right or wrong. And some of you are getting this mixed up. A lot of you are walking into companies and you suddenly became like leadership visionaries. You know everything about business. You need to stay in your own lane. If you want to have all of these opinions about how a business should be ran, either go find a business that supports those visions or go start your own. Otherwise, you need to understand you're playing on a playground with somebody else in charge. Either you follow their rules or you leave. It really is that simple. So 2024 and onwards should be focused on what I call interest alignment, meaning you and that employer have similar interests. You love the products they offer. The values of the company you support and you are behind 1,000%. And if that is not the circumstance, you should not be working at that company. By the way, I want to give a little bit of context. This is for your career job. A lot of you watching this right now are people who are not at your careers. You're at jobs. And I think I would use the word shadow jobs, right? And I'll link in the video, a previous video I shot that talked about going from zero to your first $100,000. And I talk a lot about shadow careers and the impact they have on you. Shadow careers are jobs that you're simply at for the paycheck and you have no interest in staying there. They have no expectations of you besides doing this very monotonous job, and that's it. Right? It's a very you give, you take environment. That's not what I'm talking about right here. What I'm talking about in this specific circumstance is a career. You are doing something you love, with challenges you love, with people you support. If that is what it is, you need to guarantee value alignment between you and the employer is there, expectations between you and the employer are there, and you're good to go. A lot of you are making broad statements about the economy, but you're basing it off of one bad relationship with an employer. You are no different than the individual who has had 2 or 3 boyfriends and feels like they're a relationship expert now. You need to have context. You need to understand that for you to have success moving forward in the future, you need to let go of that past experience. Eyes forward. Now what? What am I going to do now moving forward? Forget about the past experiences. Keep in mind those patterns, but your eyes need to be looking to the future. There are amazing small to medium-sized businesses out there who would be amazing fits for you, but you're so caught up on LinkedIn, you're so caught up on Instagram, on holding back to that negative energy, those negative experiences, and wanting to talk about those terrible companies that are poorly mismanaged, and you had all the secrets. You don't. But in 2024 and onwards, if you change your focus from that negativity route and move it towards, here's what I'm amazing at. Here's what I love. Here's the type of company I'm looking for. Everybody will line up because you will have unlocked demand. I'm going to briefly cover real quickly again the 5 things you need to do to also guarantee that you are an employee that can create demand. And if you don't hit these 5 things, you need to do a serious self-audit. So if you are making all these demands and saying employers are terrible and you don't have these 5 things, you are the problem, not the employer, right? So the first thing is, have you mastered yourself, right? Yourself is defined in 2 areas. First is self-confidence. Do you face imposter syndrome that prevents you from being able to take action? When you receive criticism or feedback, do you take it personally, or are you able to take that feedback and immediately implement on it? And you believe that that person has the best interest for you. The second aspect of yourself is self-management. Can you set a schedule and follow through with it? If you can't do those first 2 things, you're the problem, not the employer. The second step in this roadmap is, have you discovered and built the foundation of your craft? Right? So if it's software engineering, marketing, sales, whatever it is, you have a solid foundation and a grasp for this, and you were taught with a mentor. The reason why the mentor matters here is if you don't have a mentor teaching you those foundations, most likely there's a lot of gaps in what you're trying to learn, and you're just missing the basic areas to be able to really hit the baselines of what an employer is looking for. Number 3, do you differentiate yourself through professional experience? If you don't have professional experience on your resume, right? If you have not found 3 to 5 freelance projects to prove yourself and you're entry level, do not expect anybody to hire you. You must have a handful of freelance projects underneath your belt to prove that you know what the real world looks like when having to go into the workplace. Number 4 is when you have unlocked your value. That means you have a handful of freelance projects underneath your belt. You now know what it looks like to step into any problem and be able to come up with entry-level solutions like that. You know how to use the Cobra problem-solving framework. You have mastered the ability to step into any problem and start trying to work on solutions with mid to senior level individuals as well. Now, finally is step 5. That is creating demand. That is when you are looking for interest alignment in companies. You are a valuable entry-level hire. You have professional experience. You've mastered yourself. You're really the top of the top when it comes to entry-level hires. If you don't have those 5 things with an experienced track record of showing those 5 things, you will not be hired. Now I'll give you the last little bits of tips here that you can leverage for this. Ways to show that you have mastered yourself is going to the gym, living a healthier lifestyle. I'm not talking about getting a 6-pack. I don't have a 6-pack. I'm a little bit overweight, right? But one of the ways that I express my commitment to self-management is by doing jiu-jitsu on a regular basis, taking care of myself, watching what I eat every now and then, going on walks, showing that I do have a routine outside of this and I am mindful of the larger picture. These are the small things that you could paint a picture about yourself as being a responsible person. If you don't have any of those things and your life pretty much consists of getting off work, going home, watching Netflix, maybe going to a bar, hanging out with friends, if that's what your life looks like and you have no routine or anything to really show responsibility for yourself, that is a picture that's gonna be painted about yourself to future employers. And if you have those other areas where you're taking care of yourself, maybe you go to the gym 3 times a week, I don't know what it is, but if you have something like that to paint a track record for doing it, you have to understand it's gonna help you so much more. My name is Nathan Savage. I'm the CEO of Devslopes. We specialize in mentorship. That's what these videos are for. I believe that I would rather give you some of the best content and focus on making my money on mentorship rather than just having to gatekeep all of this information. So subscribe to this channel. If you want to have some of the best content about making a career transition, how to solve problems, and how to build a meaningful career that you love, this is the place that you can come and find that information. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video.